And welcome back to Charlottesville Insights. This is Jeff Gaffney, your host. And again, today we are debuting Super Sundays with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate 3. The region's largest open house event today is going on from 1 to 4. Check out the daily progress. You can also look at realestate3.com and get a listing of all the homes that are open today. And it will benefit the Fluvanna County Food Bank. And we have with us today one of the champions of Fluvanna County and the Fluvanna County Food Bank. And I'll have to admit, she's an awfully nice hokey mom.
Oh, thanks.
And she's with us today. We have Betsy Gunnels is on the show. And so, Betsy, we're going to hit some more questions here. And please keep your questions coming. You can send them directly on the website, charlottesvilleinsights.com. You can send them through our Facebook fan page or also on Twitter at Jeff Gaffney. I'll be interested in this one. We have Carol in Red Hill. She has sent in her question. It's, I need to sell my home in 60 days. Well, we're talking to the right person here, Betsy Gunnels. She goes, so the rest of the question is, what's the best way to do that? So, Betsy, what's the best way to sell a home today in 60 days in this challenging economy?
Price it right. No question.
You've
got to price it right. You have to look at the market. You have to see where the houses just like yours have been selling. And you can't say, which we hear a lot, I don't really have to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really want to price it there. But if you're going to sell the house, you have to listen to your realtor and understand exactly what the market is bearing.
You know, the challenge with that, Betsy, though, and I know you deal with this every day, is that requires the seller to, what we call in our house, take an egoectomy. They have to put aside what they paid for it, what their neighbor sold their house for 3 years ago, because that becomes really irrelevant to how to price your home today. A home is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. And so it sounds like, in order to get to the place you want the sellers to be, they really have to be able to do that. It's get your ego out of the way. And if you're going to come on the market, come on 100%.
Exactly. The thing of it is that I ask a lot of my sellers, how important is it for you to actually move and get from A to B? If you want to sell A and get to B, you've got to understand what the homes have sold for in the last 6 months. And also the trend in that last 6 months. Is it going up or is it still going down? We sold a home the other day, and my seller actually just called me from North Carolina. He hasn't closed on his house yet, but he and his wife listened. They did want to sell their home. They did want to transition to another state and another area to be closer to their children, and that had become very important to them. So we looked at the market, we looked where homes were selling, and we priced it right. They got immediately a good, I think, half a dozen or more showings within the first 2 weeks. And within that 2 weeks, we got an offer that was very close to their asking price.
Well, let me ask you this. So then with the number of listings that you deal with, when you put a home on the market that you're excited about the price, you usually can tell in the first couple of weeks whether you've priced it right or not, right? I mean, the market will run to you if
you've done it right.
If you've done it right,
mm-hmm.
and
it will appraise. You have to understand that there's a third party out there. We can decide what the house is going to, put it on the market for, but the appraiser is the ultimate guy who's going to decide whether or not you priced it right.
But on the flip side, and this is hard for a lot of sellers to handle, the market will punish you if you don't come on
Absolutely.
price right, because you know what will happen? Nothing.
Nobody comes.
How many times have we heard that? Is nobody showing my listing, or I'm not getting any showings? And so for our sellers out there, if that's the case that you're in, you really need to take a fresh look at the pricing. Now, how about condition? Are you and your team, do you stage homes, or do you give advice on how to prepare it so that it looks right? And today it has to look right, it has to smell right, it has to be furnished appropriately. Do you counsel people all through that?
Absolutely.
I
We
thought
will
you would.
not take a listing unless people are willing to listen to what you need to do.
Right.
And we will not take pictures because, remember, the pictures are, as you said, the first showing online, because that's where it splashes online. That's what they see. It's amazing the transformation that happens when you give good advice, which we do because we've been in this business long enough. And always my mantra is less is best.
Yes.
So whatever you've got, all these important things, which are important. I mean, I have them in my home. They're important. They're to your soul. Your pictures and your grandchild's things that you have on the wall, and maybe even the colors that you paint your house. Those are important to you as a person living in the home. But you have to neutralize and you have to declutter, and you have to stage it, move the furniture around to make it so that when people walk through that home, they're not feeling tight or any kind of distraction with their items in the home.
We're on with Betsy Gunnels, and today, again, Real Estate 3 has Super Sundays, the largest open house event in the Charlottesville region, benefiting the Fluvanna County Food Bank, and Betsy is a champion of that cause. We're talking about selling a home. Carol from Red Hill sent in, I need to sell my home in 60 days. What's the best way? Betsy, I want to ask you, there's an old expression in real estate that how you live in a home and how you present it for sale are two different homes.
Absolutely.
You believe that?
Oh, absolutely.
See, one of the things that happens is I find is that if somebody has a really nice basement, and us guys, we always
like
end
your
up
stuff.
down in the basement, and as soon as we look on the walls and somebody has their trophies and their posters and their NASCAR memorabilia, the guys all go up and check that out, and they've never even looked at the basement. They've just admired. Do you tell folks that they need to take that down to depersonalize that, or how does that work?
You do to an extent. I mean, if you've got a man cave, then, sometimes you're just going to have to deal with some of the things in there. But overall, you want to take a lot of it down. A touch of it isn't bad, especially if they've got the hokey stuff in their house. So
it's funny you say that. Our mutually good friend, Greg Slater,
Yes.
One time when he was selling a property, he had the hokey room, and I remember we had an adamant Virginia fan who was looking at his home, and we kept talking about, hey, Greg, you may want to kind of neutralize that color a little bit. Greg, being the hardcore hokey that he is, said, no thanks. Let's get to another question here. Let's see. Okay, Ed in Stony Point writes in, have we hit the bottom in this real estate market? What's your opinion? Are we there? Are we past that? What do you think?
I wish I had a crystal ball to answer that, Ed. But I do listen to my husband as he reads all the fine print in the Post and follows that a lot. My husband, he does not think that we're there yet. I think there's another slew of these foreclosures. I don't know how the government's going to actually handle all of that.
The shadow inventory. Maybe that hits the market.
Right. I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I knew.
I think, Ed, my comment to that is I think that we have passed the bottom transactionally. In other words, I think we're seeing a good sales pace in real estate now, but the pricing, is that at the bottom? That still remains to be seen. Again, I want to mention Betsy Gunnels today was on the show. Check out realestate3.com and lakemonticello.com to make a donation to the Fluvanna County Food Bank.